Having technical difficulties there. I don't know what you guys are seeing on your end, but I think I got it under control now. Welcome to LOCKBEARD Phenomena, number 82. It is April 1st, 2023. Saturn's Day, 6 p.m. Central. I see we got Old Soldier and Angel Nolan in the chat. Welcome. Hopefully, Donald rolls in because he kind of kicked off the reason why Georgia is the subject tonight, and where is Mr. Lee? Now, Mr. Lee, you're always running off. You're never where you're supposed to be. Let's see if I can fire off an email to him, actually. Really do need to put together an email list. I think it was Icon that sent me a message or put a comment on one of the videos saying that he's kind of thinking the same thing because YouTube is not notifying people. Mr. Lee, you're late. Yeah, you're here. A few Raptor Crazies here. Welcome. Holy cow, I actually got notified of the stream. Yeah. Yeah, he's here. But where's Donald? We need Donald here. What's up, everybody? You didn't get notified? Yeah, nobody can rely on that. It happens sometimes, but it's not reliable. YouTube's definitely not wanting to cooperate in that department. So there's Donald. Where you been, man? Where you been? You sent me that message with that link to that YouTube video. So that's what's going on tonight. Part of what's going on tonight. Do you want to share your commentary on that video, Donald? You got anything to say about that? Raptor says, when you subscribe, hit the bell and then select all. Yeah, but a lot of people have been doing that, and then they find that their notification bell's been unclicked, and they've been unsubscribed even. Yeah, that's what's coming, says Donald. What do you mean, that's what's coming? Well, I'm going to bring up the video, at least show the first part of it, because they just end up replaying it with on slow-mo afterwards. Angel says, Raptor, I've done that and still do not always get a notification. Donald says the bullshit will be getting thick. My bell don't ring. Yeah, but bell don't ring. So Donald Fuller notified me that this video was posted yesterday. This is actually not a recent story. It's been around a little bit, but I haven't been able to find anything, any conclusive account of where this came from exactly, because here they don't tell you. They don't tell you what state. In fact, they say Emerson County. Well, there is no Emerson County anywhere in the United States. There's an Emerson borough that's in, I can't remember the name of the county, in New Jersey, I think it is, but that's not it. Um, the the guy on Facebook, we're gonna look at his posting as well. He says it's in Georgia, and so I think he may be correct, but the trail really goes cold on the origin of this. So um, let's. Can I click play from here? No. It would be nice if I could do that, and it would automatically mute my mic. But StreamYard, you just ain't got your stuff together yet. Anyway, let's play this. Now see here where they say this cloaking creature footage was sent to us here at NVTV. You just have to watch to believe. Really, you just have to watch it, and then you're gonna believe. Well, what are you gonna believe? You're gonna you gonna believe this is a hoax, that this was faked, or what? But anyway, watch this.
In 1957, strange sightings were reported by a few of the local townspeople in Emerson County. Then, in 1997, sightings of strange, shadowy beings were captured on video. Less than 2 miles from where the original sightings took place, a video camera was found by a local game hunter. No one has come forward to claim this footage.
Do you see that? Over there, look, over there. Do you see that?
What the hell?
Wait. Because that was it again, right there. Wait.
I don't like this.
You see that? Right there. Look.
Oh my god. That's not an animal. I don't like this.
Okay, fuck. Go. Stop.
I'm not going to continue playing through the slow-mo. So my next goal was to try and figure out. Next thing was to figure out where, Emerson County, where there's no Emerson County in the United States, and so they got that wrong. Whoever made this video and posted it yesterday at NVTV, you couldn't even state the location correctly. You got this from somewhere else, and at the very least, you can try to get your information correct as to or at least what the original claim was. So this is a recycled claim, is what this is. This is a recycled video, and they could and they couldn't even get the original details exactly correct. They completely created a new county in the United States that doesn't exist in their claim here on this video. And look at this. Look at these people down here in the comments. If this video is real, the couple are toast. I also see how this could be staged. Now, see, this person sounds like they're actually thinking a little bit. Let's see. What's greetings from cloaking to my eyes? Always reminds me of a hot summer day and looking at fresh tarred road. This person says looks alien to me. Okay, have you ever seen an alien? Have you confirmed what an alien looks like? I think not, Billy Meyer. How do you know it looks alien? You can't see any details of whatever the hell's in the image at all. And you just can't. Looks alien to me. Wow, how terrifying. Portal of some kind. Portal? Now there's a portal involved? Did anyone see a damn portal in the video? See, this is how the shit gets out of hand. That noise is made was no Bigfoot I ever heard. Again, have you ever confirmed the sounds that come from a Bigfoot? I think not. This person's just assuming all kinds of shit. Now this, I don't know. Now I asked this person here. You can see this. Andy Frederick says this is a short film from a horror movie festival back in the found footage craze. Scotty Smith responds, pretty good acting, you have to admit. KH Worker says, does it have a title? And then of course you see me asking source of this info, because if this guy's correct, I want to know where this video came from. Ben Roberts UK says this clip has been on YouTube for a while, still scratching my head about it. Shannon McCoon says, and this is exactly why no one is able to find them. Scary stuff for real. Again, Shannon McCoon here making a claim just completely out of their ass. You have no idea what this even is. I'm assuming that this person is thinking it's a Bigfoot, I guess. Maybe I shouldn't assume that, but maybe they are. Whatever this person's thinking it is, there's no way to confirm what's in that video at all. There's nothing. You can't really conclusively state anything. And yet this person is saying this is exactly why no one is able to find them. You don't know shit, Shannon. So why are you even talking? Carrie C. Sivway says the native people of America and Canada have been telling these stories for hundreds of years to anyone who would listen. Okay. And how did their stories relate to this video? We really don't know. We don't know that this is what they were talking about. We don't know that the native people were accurately describing anything that's real. There's a tribe here in Oklahoma that has an ancient belief that the entire world exists on the back of a gigantic turtle. Do you believe that too? I mean, seriously. I mean, I'm a tribe member, so I feel like I can talk some shit here. Some of the ancient stories are bullshit. So just because they say something is magical and mystical doesn't necessarily mean it's true. Sorry, it just doesn't. And you know, of course, who knows how long this goes, but so let's jump over to when I went to searching trying to find, I couldn't find much on this video. So I run across this posting on Facebook that's a little, when did this happen? When did he posted this, looks like about 6 months ago, maybe, October 26, 2022. And of course, this guy's a little bit of a comedian about it, but check it out.
In 1957 in Emerson, Georgia, there were strange sightings reported by the local townspeople. They referred to them as the Shadow Men. Many of the sightings took place from August to November. What's most baffling is that people reported a string of UFO sightings throughout 3 or 4 states in that general area until one day they just abruptly stopped, and nobody in Emerson reported any sightings for almost 40 years until 1997, when a local hunter found some mysterious footage just 2 miles from where the original sightings took place. This video is for entertainment purposes only, as some may find this footage slightly disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
You see that? Over there, look, over there. You see that?
What the hell?
Wait. Because that was it again, right there. Wait.
I don't like this.
You see that? Right there. Look.
Oh my god. That's not an animal. I don't like this. I don't like this.
Okay, fuck. Go. Fuck.
Now, y'all, that is probably some of the most interesting footage I've ever seen. It almost reminded me of an entity or a alien, I guess, similar to Predator. As you may have noticed, it was actually camoed perfectly to the environment, chameleon-esque. You could hear it actually hissing and making all kinds of noises, kind of screeching. It reminded me of the same noises that crawlers make. Those of you that aren't familiar with crawlers are the pale white entities with glowing eyes sometimes that kind of crawl on all fours, and they'll chase people and they'll attack. I guess people also maybe refer to them as the rake. But the rake and crawlers don't have superior, what seems to be sophisticated type camo. That camo was virtually invis. You could only see a slight essence from it. And whatever it is, it's almost as if at one point towards the latter of the video, it actually begins to shapeshift into something different. If you slow it down and watch it frame by frame, as I did, you can almost see it spread some sort of like wings or something. I'm not even sure. It's the most unbelievable footage I've seen in some time. And I know this is going to sound weird, right? But at the end of the day, vampires are actually extraterrestrial beings, that they're actually from another Terra. They've been known to be able to kind of vanish and blend in with their environment, disappear, reappear, and then shapeshift into some sort of bat-like entity. I don't know. I mean, I know it's a stretch, y'all, but it seems similar to me. I just thought that in lieu of Halloween and everything, why not throw out this video? Because, you know, it's extra, it's cool, very unique, and it's kind of creepy. It's scary stuff. I know y'all saw me point at the end of the video at that being, or it looked like a person kneeling down. Like I said, at some points, if you watch it frame by frame, y'all, you will be mind blown. I'm not saying it's real, not saying that at all. It still could be a production, but wow, if it is, great job. Like I said, y'all, in Halloween spirit, I figured I'd share a cool one with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Check it out. Dig a little deeper if you want. See what you come up with. I actually just watched this really cool TikTok video that explained the multiple different types of vampires.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's seeing all kinds of stuff. He said he saw it kneeling. He said he saw it had wings. He's claiming that vampires are aliens for some damn reason. I mean, this guy is all over the place, lost his damn mind. Nothing is conclusive in this video at all. You do not know what you're looking at. This could be completely fake, crappy CGI, or it could be something that's real, but you don't know what it is. You cannot conclusively tell what you're looking at in the video. Vampire, rakes, Bigfoot or alien or whatever. Um, so the only other thing I was really able to find on this was this posting from the March 30th, 2016 on a website called Johnny Raven 26. It's it's on Tumblr. Anyway, whatever, if the video was here, it's gone. And all it has is the pretty much the same little uh, 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 narrative about this video. In 1957, strange sightings were reported by the locals of the town of Emerson of unknown creatures hidden in the woods. In 1997, a sighting of strange beings of shadow were captured on video just 2 miles from the original place of the first reports. A local hunter found a video camera with the following material. No one showed up to claim the material or the camera as yours. Turn up the brightness, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I don't see the video here. Looks like a bunch of people liked it. I don't know if this is a defunct page or what, but the trail's gone cold, and there's just nothing, absolutely nothing conclusive um, about this video. Mr. Lee says, "Lockbeard, your bell don't ring." Raptor says, "Angel, maybe it was a fluke, but actually popped up. He was live on my end." Angel says, "Donald, spring is coming, so we will need some fertilizer. It's freaking warm today." Raptor, where are you going? Donald says, "Hi, Mr. Lee." Angel says, "Donald, at least it melted the 4 inches of snow we got last night." Snow is melting. Well, we don't get no snow here. I don't know what's the temperature here. It's what is it? It's probably 62 degrees here. Uncle Bones is here. Welcome. Donald says this whole cloaking thing people see is the animal blending in with the background, in my opinion. It could be. A lot of it could be. I don't discount the possibility that there are things out there that are outside our normal perceptive range frequency wise, because there's only so far our sight can see, and there has to be life forms that exist be in beyond our perceptual range, so we can't touch them, we can't see them typically. It's like it's a it's a layer of our world that we're normally not able to interact with. Everything in that range of frequencies can interact with itself, with each other, as if they were their own ecosystem. But sometimes it seems like there's some bleed through. Maybe there's a little fluctuation, some kind of disturbance. Maybe some people are a little more sensitive to seeing things beyond the normal perceptual range. But we need science to catch up to that kind of stuff, and we could be waiting a while. And Michael Bone says Donald agreed. It's not like the Predator movies. Mr. Lee says can't really see clearly enough to tell, Lockbeard. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing conclusive about that video. It's just funny how all these people were just like stating all these things as if they were fact. They just go right to it like they always do. They always do. Donald says I had this happen with 3 deer where their coat was the same color as the ground. I didn't see them until I saw a tail flicker. Well, and that's another thing. That's camouflage, and you know, these people showing like this video here. It looks like it's made to look like the Predator movie, right? Well, that's not camouflage. That's not like chameleons, like people like I think that guy on Facebook, wasn't it him, didn't he say that they cloaked them, that they camouflage themselves, it's camouflage like a chameleon. No, chameleons don't do that. They blend in, their coloration can change to blend in and so on. And so can, cuttlefish and all kinds of stuff. And then some things they don't change at all. They just have the coloration that blends in with their surrounding, like a baby fawn laying on the ground. He's got the little dots. It's like, the sunlight on the ground. A copperhead snake blends in very well with a leafy ground. Um, these things don't change their color. They just have the right coloration to blend in well in their environment. This is not cloaking like a predator, but people want so badly to believe that there's something cloaking that they'll just immediately jump on it. They need to just hold their horses. Uncle Bone says NVTV is notorious for this shite. Yeah. Donald says yes, and it leaves it up to the viewer, but I haven't seen much on there. I'd put too much credibility into. Lady says hello as usual, no notice, but I looked. Yeah, I don't know if we need to set up a mailing list or what like a phone tree, something. Because YouTube ain't going to do what they're supposed to do. Welcome to the chat, lady. Mr. Lee says, "Oh, Lady Wood, you missed everything." Yeah. Well, she just missed that probably hoax video. Probably a hoax video. Remembered it was Saturday, so you looked. Yeah, that's what I've been. See, that's what I was trying to tell people because I haven't been updating the paranormal TV guide because just there didn't seem to be anyone interested when I stopped updating it, and nobody ever said anything. Um, Nobody's emailing me with updates for their shows or anything, so there's just no interest in it. It helped me because when I was trying to figure out what was on, I had it documented so I could look up and say, oh, yeah, that's on, because YouTube does not notify. So I haven't been updating it or anything like that. But when I was heavily doing that, that's what I kept telling. I kept kind of telling the showrunners, the YouTube channel owners, the creators. I kept telling them, I said, look, if you have a regularly scheduled show, you will get more viewers, because if people know that your show is always on at that day and time, they will start to remember after a while. If you're always changing the time, then you just lose people. They don't know when it's on. They can't plan to, be online when you're live if they don't know when you're on. Because some people will do that. If they like watching you live and being in a chat and participating, they'll do that. Now, some of these show owners would listen, and some of them didn't. And it's your business. I'm just trying to help. I'm like, look, people, it's to your benefit to, have your show at a regularly scheduled time if you can. Donald says, I'm waiting for Vault to learn this AI tech with video so he can really grift money from them gullible followers. Oh, shoot. There will be people that can do that stuff 10 times better than he will ever be able to. I don't think there's any danger of him pulling anything much off of that, but he might. Mr. Lee says that is scary though. Just saying, yeah, like a scary movie maybe. Why people are filming in the first place? Oh, could be. Who knows why? Why did I film a little bit while I'm wandering around in the woods in the middle of the damn night with a couple of dogs? Although, I mean, I'm trying to make a short video, but something could happen while I got the camera on. I tell you what, if something happened when I didn't have the camera on, there is no way I'm getting that thing turned on in time to catch anything. So, yeah. Old lady was says, "Oh, he lost me at vampires." Yeah, vampires. Yeah. First thought is one of those mirrored hunting blinds or similar, says Angel. Could have been filming a walk. And interesting. Lady says, I once had an entire flock of wild turkeys disappear into the woods. I was less than 60 feet behind them, and then poof, they were gone. Donald says, Mr. Lee, with the skills you got them in them trailers, I can see you making a pretty convincing Bigfoot video. Lady says, I was following them. Natural camouflage is nothing unusual. 59 here currently, says Donald. Lady says, I see that you said it first, Donald. Mr. Lee says, Donald, I could easily fake something. Yes, I hope the peeps know I'm just messing about. I should put a notice on future videos. This is fake, yes. Lady says, heavy use of the word knucklehead is a clue for your internet, for your intent, Mr. Lee. Yep, lots of knuckleheads involved. Easier to fake than get the real thing. Yeah. Yeah. Donald says, Mr. Lee, no, don't do that. Get your piece of the pie. That's all Bigfoot is to 90% of the social media believers. After saying hello, Mr. Lee says, Donald, yeah, but I don't want to upset the peeps. Some of it sensitive. The people or your work. This thing is not working right, so I'm trying. The computer's working hard, so I don't know what the deal is here. Things are working really slow. So Donald says, Mr. Lee, look at Zippy's following. You think them people need the facts? Phone tree, prayer circle. Oh, like, if someone finds out a piece of information and they text message or call to other people, and then each of those two people that they're assigned to call or text, those two people have two people that they are assigned to text or call, or three. Each person could have three anyway, and then it's just a pyramid, and then everybody gets the message that way. But what I really need to do is maybe get everybody to email me at one of my email addresses, and then I could just get in the habit of just sending everybody a mass email. That's probably the way to handle this. Phone trees existed before the internet, really. Nowadays, they're kind of an obsolete thing. If for parents with school or something like that, it's kind of how that stuff existed or was used for. Sent me new t-shirt today, all the way from Texas. I will wear new production. Yeah, I was getting ready to try and make a shorts video from some clips from Squatching Cowboy. Where cowboy hat people think I'm a squash cowboy. I probably ought to email it to him so maybe he can post it on his channel as a short, because he's only got like 3 shorts on his channel. And what they say that you need to, that at least for now, or maybe this is obsolete information, so don't quote me on this, but they say that the YouTube algorithm wants you to be posting 3 shorts a day, 3 videos a day, and then do 3 live streams a week. Apparently that's the formula roughly of what YouTube kind of wants. Lady says I'm reworking my mesh right now. Ain't going to get there, but I'm shooting for photo reel with an easily edited green screen background for my convenience. If it chaps there behind, shrug. Donald says, I really wish we could get you to Brown Springs for some confirmation. Yeah, that'd be too costly of a trip, though, for me at this time. Mr. Lee says, Donald, I'm trying to save to come to America, but everything's so fucking expensive now. Jeez. It's really, I don't know. You might want to, like, it seems our governments are trying to create a big old cluster. You may not want to come to the United States. We might be radioactive by the time you get here. Let me see here. So let's look at, that if that did in fact occur in Emerson, Georgia, then I figured, well, let's just look at a bunch of stuff from Georgia. Donald says, yes, Mr. Lee, I'm struggling big time. This is on stacker.com. Says Georgia News, see how many UFO sightings have occurred in Georgia. It just says written by Stacker, but whatever that means. December 21st, 2021. So it's year and a half old almost, or getting year and a quarter old, I guess. See how many UFO sightings have occurred in Georgia. UFO sightings date back to biblical times. In the Bible's book of Ezekiel, a mysterious ship is described as appearing from the sky in Chaldea, modern-day Kuwait. Strange sightings were recorded around Rome in 2018 BC. A wave of mysterious apparitions showed up in 4th century China when a moon boat was documented floating over the country once every 12 years. A smattering of other unfamiliar objects in the sky were noted in Germany in 1561, Hull, England in 1801, and multiple times during World War II when Allied pilots used the term Foo Fighters to describe the odd circles of light pilots noticed flanking their planes during combat. The term UFO, short for unidentified flying object, was coined in 1953 by the United States Air Force as a bucket term for unexplained sightings like these. Stateside sightings were hardly restricted to military flyover zones, however. The first recorded UFO citing dates to 1639, when long before the era of planes and satellites, John Winthrop wrote in his diary about a large, strange light in the sky that shot back and forth. By the time he and the other men on his boat got their wits about them, the vessel was a mile from where it had been when they first spotted the light. Since its founding in 1974, the National UFO Reporting Center, NUFORC, has documented around 90,000 UFO sightings, with almost 95% of those sightings supposedly easily explained away as military tests, weather balloons, or other terrestrial activity. Using data from NUFORC's 24/7 hotline, which has been around since 1974, Stacker compiled a ranking of the states with the most reported UFO sightings. NUFORC's data set includes reports dating back to 1400. For each state, we've also included details of famous UFO sightings in that state. Of note is that almost 3/4 of all UFO sighting reports in the United States occur between 4 p.m. and midnight and tend to peak between 9 and 10 p.m. Food for thought next time you're out scoping for alien life. Keep reading to see how UFO sightings in your state has how many UFO sightings your state has had. Georgia by the numbers. UFO sightings 1,952. While serving as governor of Georgia, Jimmy Carter in 1973 filed a report with Oklahoma's UFO Bureau about a mysterious object he claimed to have seen in 1969. During that decade, Georgia's version of Area 51, a nuclear aircraft and radiation testing facility just north of Atlanta, was an area rich in tales and conspiracy theories about abductions, UFOs, and animal mutilation. The first documented image of a UFO was captured in 1870 on the summit of Mount Washington in New Hampshire. More sightings were reported at Mount Rainier in Washington in 1947, and of course, several in Roswell, New Mexico. Since then, countless numbers of unusual shapes in the sky and their supposed inhabitants have been exhaustively reported without sufficient explanations beyond the possible existence of extraterrestrial life. A surge in eyewitness accounts begot even more sightings, along with attempts to protect against invasions and abductions. More than 40,000 Americans bought into alien protection insurance, which offers customers monetary relief should a loved one get carted away by little green men. One Roper poll in 1991 suggests that around 4 million Americans believe they've been abducted by aliens. The long-standing official position of the U.S. government has been that claims of alien life stem from hoaxes or mistaking other objects like weather balloons for UFOs or alien life. A highly anticipated U.S. intelligence report on UFOs due to Congress on June 25th is unlikely to change that position. Leaks ahead of its release suggest the official ruling will be that no evidence of alien life has been found, but conveniently can't be ruled out. So, and as we all know, that report came out and it was only, 9 pages long. And all they said was, is we know that UFOs are real, but we don't know what they are. And you know how I feel about this is that after lying to us for decades about them even existing, and they suddenly want me to believe anything they say. So just because they admit that they're real, now I'm supposed to believe they're going to tell me the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and they're actually going to admit they know exactly what they are. No, they're freaking lying. They're the government. That's what they do. They lie, lie, and they lie. Everything they're telling you, you need to look at as a lie. Oh, we didn't bomb that pipeline. Yes, we did. Everybody freaking knows it. We didn't order that plane to crash into those buildings. Really? Oh, we didn't order for there to be a germ released and execute millions of people across the globe. No, we would never do that. Hmm. Maybe I'm going too much of a tangent there. Down here it says the states with the most UFO sightings. Number one is California with 10,000 sightings, and of course, when you got your streets full of street pooping homeless people who are very often mentally ill or on drugs. I think you're going to have a lot of reports of crap in the sky. I would not. I would probably be very skeptical about all 10,333 cases out of California. California is a complete cluster. It's a mess, and people are nuts there. Even the ones that aren't mentally ill, they have ridiculous ideas about things. Let's keep doing things wrong, even though it never works. So California sightings, I don't care about those. Florida sounds a little more credible to me. 5,826 sightings. Washington State, 4,351 sightings. States with the fewest UFO sightings: Washington, D.C., 87 sightings. Well, of course, Washington, D.C. is going to have the fewest sightings. Well, one, why you even counting it as a state? I don't count it as a state. It's not a state. It's very small, so there's very little space to see anything anyway. And the majority of the people in Washington D.C. know that snitches get stitches. Um, I might get I might get canceled for that one. That joke might have been a little off color. North Dakota 192, Wyoming 266. Okay, yeah, these are states that are somewhat less populated than other states. They're pretty far north. People tend to stay inside a little bit more, I would think, because it's cold as hell. Yeah. Where am I at, chat? I'll find my spot in a second. Lady says, good idea to do an area comparison. Donald says, Tessa, don't lurk for fuck's sake. Is she here? Mr. Lee says, plenty UFO sightings in England. Just saying, I've seen them too. Not for a while though. Uncle Bones says, Donald, have you seen Batmom anywhere recent? Lady says, Uncle Bones, wasn't she battling a nasty bug of some sort? I remember her saying something like that, but that was a month ago. Haven't kept up since then. She DM'd me something about Brown Springs. She's lurking. Yeah, I would love to go investigate Brown Springs, Donald, but I see one. I mean, it's just I don't have the funding to do that. It's gonna be gas money and all that stuff, and I got stuff to do. And then here, so um, but also there is absolutely no point in me going without the right camera. At least one camera that will do the job correctly. There's no point because I'm no matter what I see, I'm not going to have anything to show anybody. I just can just tell them, and then it's just my story is going to be the same as anybody else's story, right? Squatch Cowboy says, "Howdy, y'all." Hello, Squatching Cowboy. Everybody getting your highs and hellos in. Joe Pass. She's under the weather. Mr. Lee says, "Cowboy, I was just telling everyone about the T-shirt you sent me, and Mr. Lee plans on sporting it proud." Just talking about you, Cowboy. Donald says, "Locally, I am a Squatching Cowboy. Better watch out, Donald. I might be wanted." The government does nothing without an agenda. Yeah, it's always got an agenda. I mean, for like for example, we're gonna ban tech talk. Everyone should be able to get behind that. And then suddenly everybody was getting behind that. But wait a minute, Democrats and Republicans are joining forces to how could they get along so well? Well, you look a little deeper and you find out. Yeah, it's a bad deal. Extremely bad deal. Patriot Act on steroids for the internet. Cowboy says that's why they are called UFOs, unidentified flying objects. Oh, well, I hope you're doing better, says Raptor. It's a bat bomb. Mr. Lee says in California there have been many sightings of UFOs diving in the sea, underground stations. Yeah, again, I don't know. At this point, I think we need to put a toilet flushing handle on the side of California and just flush. I think the outlet pipe should be into Baja, down into Mexico. Just flush everyone that's left in California. 300,000 people have left California for a reason. I would suggest that anyone left there that has half a brain, get the hell out now, because we need to flush. We need to just line up all real Americans on the north end of California and just march down the entire length of it and push everyone into Mexico, and then put a line of razor wire and dogmen to guard the border. Just saying. I'm done playing. I'm done playing with this nonsense. It's gotten out of hand. And it just goes on decade after decade. It's like, why can't we get this shit right? Donald says, I think it's our own tech. Space travel is difficult. Well, I think some of it is our own tech, and then I think some of it is some of it is technology that our scientists have reverse engineered from somebody else's advanced technology. And I don't necessarily think that that's somebody else is an alien. But I also think there's somebody else's here who have a technology way more advanced than us, and they have always been here. They are from Earth. They're not aliens. And that they're flying around and keeping an eye on some stuff that they don't like. Like they seem to not like nuclear weapons, and I don't blame them. And I would be happy to see humans and these people working together to force our governments to dismantle every last nuclear weapon on the planet. It is a stupid type of weaponry to use. It's It's cowardly. It's evil. It's just horrible. Yet right now we're I guess Great Britain is supplying depleted uranium munitions for use in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, which is just stupid, ridiculous. There's no reason to do that. You only do that if you're just trying to be the ultimate of evil asshole. And there's rumor that the United States is also supplying some of this crap to them, and no, you do not use depleted uranium. You don't do it. You don't. This is absolutely evil. Why are they doing this? This is insane. It poisons the land. It causes defects in the children that are born. It's evil. Absolutely evil. Raptor says, hello to Squash and Cowboy. He says, I was in Arizona when the Phoenix Lights happened. Cool. Did you actually see him yourself? Or Uncle Bon says, hey, Brown Dwarf shows some decent stuff, in my opinion. Angel says, Donald, in the early mid-70s, a lot of sightings in the Adirondacks. However, Plattsburgh Air Base was running. Saw a bunch of lights dancing around over the mountains. What'd you miss? Mayor of California? You mean you mean governor? You mean governor? Everything biggest knucklehead in Texas. Oh, he ain't missed everything. We got plenty more to say about Georgia. Whoops. Why is the chat so spastic? Mayor, yeah. Well, it wasn't a mayor, he was a governor. Mr. Lee says, Uncle Bones, my spelling rubbish, took me ages to look up his last name. Were you putting an I where there's an E, Mr. Lee? Were you putting an I where there's supposed to be an E? I bet you were. Cowboy says, if you want to film a bunch of crackheads, go to Brown Springs for spell check. Winston Churchill would never have done that. Yeah, Mr. Lee. Squash Cowboy says, yes, I was driving my big truck and had to stop for the night, so I parked just a mile west of Phoenix and watched it all. Yeah. Interesting thing that happened there. So, aside from certain YouTuber strange animal who specializes in drone hunting Bigfoots, what else is going on in Georgia? Since this cloaked entity video appears to be an inconclusive dead end. Well, there's this. This is an article on deepsouthmag.com. Tracking Bigfoot in Georgia. Looks like it's from September 10th, 2019. A museum in North Georgia mountains explores the reality of Bigfoot through evidence, artifacts, and factual accounts. By Kathleen Walls. Since the beginning of recorded history, there have been sightings of a large ape-like creature. The names differ: Yeti, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, but the legends have always existed. While they have been sighted all over the country and the world, sightings in the mountains of North Georgia are almost commonplace. One researcher in Northeast Georgia has founded a museum and lab to investigate the creatures. Expedition Bigfoot opened in Cherry Log and Gilmer County in February 2016. You may walk into Expedition Bigfoot expecting another tourist attraction, but you will leave pondering the very real evidence presented. Is Bigfoot real or not? The museum is not designed to be a house of horrors. It's a real-life investigative research hub that displays evidence that has a lab attached for discerning the truth of claims and evidence. Asked what inspired him to open a Bigfoot museum, owner David Bacara says, "My strong interest in the subject since I saw the 1973 movie, The Legend of Boggy Creek, and our love of vintage roadside attractions." I have one question. What is on the table there, just left of center at the bottom of the photograph, and is it battery operated? I'll let y'all figure it out. I'm sure. I don't know. I don't know. What is that? The fact that Bakar has actually seen a living Bigfoot naturally was a motive as well. About the sighting that included his wife, he says it was in Alva, Florida, near Fort Myers. On an investigation in 2011, there were two of them at about 80 feet away. We observed them through a thermal imager for about 10 minutes until they made their way back into the swamp. He remembers that his wife Melinda came on board as an investigator with me in 2011. She was openly skeptical until the sighting in Alva that same year. The Bacar's investigative vehicle, the Brat, Bigfoot Research and Tech, an ATV set up for researching Bigfoot, is on display in the museum. The legend of Boggy Creek that Bacara refers to tells of ape-like creatures based on sightings in 1971 in Fouke, Arkansas. The creature that came to be called the Fouke Monster was seen peering in the window of a local resident. Bacara has accumulated one of the largest collections of artifacts in the world. He has items like hair samples, footprints, handprints, butt prints, and even feces sample from Bigfoot. At Expedition Bigfoot, there are educational videos about factual sightings, and you can read factual newspaper accounts. Sets of headphones play recorded Bigfoot conversations. One well-done exhibit in the museum is a recreation of the Ape Canyon attack that occurred near Mount St. Helens in Washington on July 16, 1924. Fred, Beck, and three other miners were attacked by a group of what they referred to as ape men. The miners claimed they shot and might have killed one of the creatures, who then attacked their cabin with rocks and tried to break in. The reason it's Bacara's favorite exhibit is that it demonstrates these creatures' ability to defend themselves against aggression, yet restrain themselves from harming humans, he says. If desired, they could have easily torn down that cabin. The evidence in favor of Bigfoot being real is strong. Just in the North Georgia mountains, there have been numerous sightings noted in placards of states with different color pins to record them. Those sightings that were clearly seen in good light and direction are marked in green. Less positive ones are marked in yellow. In Georgia, the largest numbers of clearly viewed sightings were in Gilmer, Dawson, Lumpkin, and White counties, all mountainous counties, I assume they mean there. There are some in middle and southern Georgia, but much fewer. Surprisingly, the Florida map shows more reported sightings in North and Central Florida than South Florida. The museum has many casts of Bigfoot footprints and exhibits explaining how to tell the difference between natural dermal ridges found in animal or human skin and ridges that may be made by the person making the cast. One exhibit details a cast made by Deputy James P. Atkin of the Pike County Sheriff's Office near Elkins Creek in Pike County, Georgia in 1997. The cast was 17.5 inches long and 8.5 inches wide. Scientists in Idaho studied the print and sent it to J.H. Chilcutt, the latent fingerprint examiner at the Conroe, Texas Police Department. He stated it was definitely the ridges of a non-human primate. The cast and report are on display so you can decide for yourself. One small section of the museum is Beccara's working lab. Here he analyzes stories of sightings, actual samples, and casts. You can walk through and look at ongoing work, just not touch. In 2017, a local woman observed one outside her bedroom window for 20 minutes. In her description, it was 5 feet tall, covered in the long red hair, and resembled a caveman. In 2009, a retired nurse and her mother saw one outside their home in Mineral Bluff, Georgia. They described it as 8 feet tall and white in color. And in May 2019, in Blairsville, man saw one walking across Highway 515 at dusk near Cherry Log, Georgia. These are just a few of close to 100 local sightings. I spoke with one local, Susan Littlejohn, owner of Build and Ark Animal Rescue. It's well worth a visit while you are in Gilmore County to interact with less frightening wild creatures like goats, sheep, horses, and other rescue animals. She was at Amicalola Falls in neighboring Dawson County when she saw the creature. She described it this way: it was large and hairy. This was definitely not someone in costume, as it was too big and the curve of the spine was not human. It was an experience I will never forget. Believer or non-believer, this museum will entertain, educate, and at least make you wonder what's really out there in the mountains. Expedition Bigfoot is open daily from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and is self-guided with $8 admission. They also have a free mini museum and gift shop in downtown Blue Ridge. And here's an article from last year in the Atlanta magazine. How the founder of Blue Ridge's Bigfoot Museum keeps the faith. David Beccara and his wife opened Expedition Bigfoot, the Sasquatch Museum, in 2013. Atlantans is a first-person account of the familiar strangers who make the city tick. This month, it's David Beccara, founder of Expedition Bigfoot, the Sasquatch Museum in Blue Ridge, as told to Heather Buckner. We have 7,000 square feet of Bigfoot exhibits and artifacts we've collected from all over the country, Russia and China. It's part museum, part roadside family attraction. Walk in the door and there isn't a quiet place. There's somebody talking, music, movies, audio of Bigfoot talking and screaming. You have no idea what's coming around the next corner. There's Raven, the 8-foot Sasquatch built by a police officer who saw one in Ohio. Then we have the 3-foot long Bigfoot turd. Kids love it. My wife and I have 5 kids and 9 grandkids. We're both big museum nerds. We know what filler looks like. We held out for all the good stuff. I was raised in Florida in the late 60s and 70s. When I was growing up, there were stories of the Florida skunk ape, also known as Bigfoot, on the evening news in newspapers. I saw them interview a police officer that saw it. It was the 90s and 2000s when that took a hard turn. People stopped talking about it because they were afraid to be ridiculed. You just don't go to a party and start telling people you believe in Bigfoot. Forget it. When I decided to open this museum, I didn't tell anybody. I just told them I was going to open a gift shop. They're like, "Oh, great. What kind?" You'll find out. In 2010, I went on an expedition with my brother for my 50th birthday. The Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization asked us if we'd like to be investigators. There are so many reports, they can't keep up with them. Reading books and seeing documentaries is great, but when you're face to face with people that have no reason to lie, you want to get to the bottom of this and give validity to the witnesses. That's a strange position to be in. You saw something that shouldn't exist, and instead of sharing it with somebody to help you figure it out, you have to bottle it up. You can't talk about it. So you don't only study Bigfoot, but you learn about people as well. In 2011, we went to a witness's house in Florida. He had Bigfoot coming on his property regularly. They were scaring his roommates away, looking in the windows. The backyard was littered with fishing equipment, fish heads, fish guts. He lived right on the edge of the Everglades. He chased one night, thinking it was a prowler. He jumped out of bed, grabbed his rifle, and chased it in his underwear across the yard. It jumped over a 6-foot fence without breaking a stride. It screamed and put its arms out, dropping trees as it went. That's when he realized it's not a person. That's where my wife and I took turns with the witness, looking through a thermal camera at 2 Bigfoot standing next to each other behind trees. We moved here in 2013. The first house we looked at, we ended up buying. Then the museum space opened up. I was in the restaurant business for 25 years. My wife was a medical billing specialist. She didn't think it'd be a big thing. She thought she'd get the thing up and running, go back to her job in 6 months. She had to take the Bigfoot stickers and museum logo off her car. She said, I can't go to Burger King to pick up lunch for the staff without getting stopped in the parking lot. Once they got your ear, they could go on for an hour. I can't say how many people I talked to who saw these things, looking at them in their windows when they were kids. They told their mom there was a big gorilla out there, and the parents were like, it was a deer, go back to bed. You could be standing there with a hot food in your hand, and they can't see the hot food. God bless them. She never went back to her job, and now we run the world's biggest Bigfoot museum. How many times have you heard the phrase, scientists were shocked to find? It's more interesting than you can imagine, this awesome planet Earth. From the ocean to the seas, to the highest mountains, to the swamps, there are so many interesting things to look for and understand. A lot of people like that cookie cutter life. They find comfort and safety in knowing what's around the next corner. You can never introduce anything new to them. I never try to convince those people anymore. You don't have to bring them with you on your little journey of knowledge. Be nice to them, and if they want to talk about football, talk about football. All right, where am I at in the chat? Oh, by the way, that Elkins, what they call it, the Elkins footprint, that cast is on the thumbnail of the live stream. Miss Shalise says, Cowboy, you must do some shorts for more subscribers. Yeah, we were talking about that a while ago, Cowboy. I was wanting to make a shorts clip out of a clip or two from your channel, actually, because I make clips of all kinds, but I don't have a whole lot of Bigfoot oriented stuff. Anyway, but mention that you don't have I only see 3 shorts on your channel, and from what I understand, what YouTube wants people to do, I guess I don't know if it's programmed into the algorithm or what, but what they're saying is that Bigfoot or YouTube wants channels to post 3 videos a day and post 3 shorts a day and do 3 live streams a week. Like, that's supposed to be the ideal. I don't know how ideal. I don't know how much. All I know is I've been doing that lately, and YouTube still hates me. Donald says a lot of whiskey getting drunk in northeast Georgia. Yeah. Lots of museums, American museums for this, museums for that. Yeah. Mr. Lee says, looks like a giant dildo. You said it, Mr. Lee. Bigfoot sauce, says Donald. Or Uncle Bone says to Donald, yeah, Bigfoot sauce. The whiskey. Donald says, considering a deep dive into orb research, to try and collect the elusive orb butter. That orb butter is probably superior to petroleum, man. It's probably it'll probably increase your gas mileage, and it's probably the best lubricant for Mr. Lee's dildo. Mr. Lee says, Donald, you have not sent me a recipe for Bigfoot sauce yet. It's top secret Bigfoot sauce. 22-inch Sasquatch footprint in your video? Yeah. Did you cast it, Mr. Lee? Yeah, he didn't cast it, I don't think. Did he? Urban orb butter. Donald says, I did, but girlfriend dropped it. It's horrible. Tripped up a few. On purpose, Mr. Lee. Am I missing WrestleMania for this? Oh, do you really want to watch WrestleMania? Mr. Lee says, Donald, probably I didn't eat her dinner the other night. Oh, man. Oh, man. You're supposed to eat her dinner whether it's burnt to a crisp or not, Mr. Lee. Yeah, Donald says it's the wrong move. Just got out of trouble, you knucklehead. Yeah. He just got out of trouble. Mr. Lee says, Donald, I tried, but whole dinner overpowered with garlic. Are you a vampire, Mr. Lee? Are you a vampire? Vampires don't like garlic. Keep the skeeters away. Name 4 of them lurkers. 3 peeps chatting. I bet I can name 4 of them lurkers. You probably can. You probably can. Name them. Out them. Mr. Lee says, lady, especially if you wear a crash helmet every day, yes. Garlic is great. Raptor says, I was on the phone. I just got off the phone. Listening. Busy tonight. Lady says, I love garlic, but intense garlic is an acquired taste. You know, Bat Mom is Lakea. You think Lakea is lurking my channel? I haven't said anything about them in a long time. I got bored. They're boring. It's same old shit. Same old shit. It's dumb. It's so dumb. Dogman. Dogman, such bullshit. Lady says, like chili peppers per normal humans always use too much to me. There's no such thing as too hot. Donald says, and 2 other followers of Vaults who are coming into their senses. Maybe they'll listen and learn. Says Angel. Mr. Lee says, lady in the woods, I grow Scotch bonnet, chili in summer. Love chili everything. Phone calls for Raptor. No BS is ingrained deep. Catch up. I'm trying, Mr. Lee. Time. Now, on the thumbnail, where's that footprint? That's the Elgin River footprint. That's at. Oh, let me make sure I'm saying it right. It's at the. Oh, where's it at? It's at that museum, I guess, the David Becara's museum in Georgia. Now where's the footprint talked about here? Hold on a second. Elgin or Eldon? Oh gosh, Elkins Creek. It's Elkins Creek. Yep. Recording is doing that lock several vids a day. The quartering. What's the quartering doing? Oh, he's doing the YouTube He's trying to follow the YouTube prescription. It's hard, man. It's a pain in the ass trying to do what they're wanting everybody to do. But it's really bad for me because they hate me so bad I can't beat their game. Uncle Bon says I don't watch him after the Eliza Blue situation. You don't watch Quarter anymore? Mr. Lee says Raptor, it's only 1 minute, 30 seconds long, somewhere in between. Vault's just a gift that keeps on giving. I got more receipts on that goof. Yeah, man. I don't want to give him any more attention, you know. He's had enough attention. He's had enough attention. That turd. Yeah, he's had too much attention already. No, Mr. Lee. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I know you're worried, but no. These people are pissing in the wind on that deal. They're just being idiots too. This is in Northwest Georgia news. We looked it dead in the face. Local Bigfoot sightings have lasting impressions. This is about 4 months old, but we haven't looked at it here, so. A Bigfoot depiction outside Expedition Bigfoot, the museum and research center just north of LJ in Georgia. And I guess the part 2, but we'll just read this part of it. Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Grassman. These are the colloquial names people have come up with for a bipedal humanoid being that remains as mercurial as the mist that hangs over the North Georgia hollows. And yet, there's a group of people who insist they've seen something. My research process for these stories included navigation to self-proclaimed experts, websites, an in-person visit to Expedition Bigfoot, the museum and research center just north of LJ, and conversations with a local expert and with people in Northwest Georgia who reported sightings to me. As one may imagine, a lot of the internet material is gritty, homemade stuff. It's not like you can just pull up a website and for a national level government funded organization and quote from a collection of eloquently worded scientific studies. These are grassroots efforts, and researchers are often reporting their findings in informal language and with whatever cameras they have available. Accounts vary by location and happenstance, but there are distinct similarities among them. I learned common signs of Bigfoot activity can include hearing pieces of wood being knocked together, which may serve to warn humans away from an area. Dead zones in woods where bird and wildlife activity is not audible, and screams or whoops that may allow these beings to ward off human interference or communicate with each other. And there's a nearly universal visceral fear that goes along with Bigfoot sightings. I read about it and felt it radiating from those I interviewed. As Expedition Bigfoot owner David Becara told me, people who spot a Bigfoot know they're outclassed. I now bring you eyewitness accounts from around Northwest Georgia. I've kept my sources anonymous so as to protect their privacy. Some of the descriptions in these accounts The speed with which these beings move, roadside sightings, the glowing eyes, the vocalizations, broken branches sometimes seemingly strategically placed in the woods, mirror others I've read about online. Let's jump in, shall we? Floyd County, Alabama line. 3 or 4 years ago, the source I spoke with for this account was traveling with a cousin towards Alabama line between 10 and 11 p.m. We saw something standing no more than 6 or 7 feet from the passenger side, he said. The two men thought the thing was a horse at first. We noticed how big the eyes were, he said. We saw it was standing upright like a human. It was way taller than our vehicle. I immediately hit the brakes. They stopped and turned the car around to get a better look, and the figure was still there. We looked it dead in the face, my source said. It was looking at us while we were looking at it. It was staring directly in the car at us. Its eyes, he said, were bright white. He sat on this experience for a month before beginning to research it on YouTube. He found other people online who mentioned sightings in the North Georgia mountains. Tryon. This source told me he found a footprint he believes belonged to a Bigfoot in a place surrounded by woods behind the Tryon Dam. The year was 1992. I smelled something really bad, almost like a wet dog, but worse, he said. I thought I saw something go from light to dark, like something moving. He heard a branch break and thought it might have been caused by a deer. He saw movement again, as if something was undulating back and forth. I could feel it in the ground like an impact tremor, he said. He heard a whoop, which he later learned is a signature Bigfoot utterance. When he approached the area where he'd seen the movement, he found a 4-inch branch that had been snapped down. He recognized the same smell again a couple of years ago during a particularly dry summer on his way to DeSoto Falls above Suches, Georgia, with his girlfriend. He remembers his girlfriend identifying the distinctive scent as wet dog. When the two passed back through the area sometime later that day, the smell was gone. Rocky face. 3 years ago, this source detected a smell not unlike that of rotting compost pile as he headed home at 3 a.m. from work. His wife was asleep in the vehicle as they traveled along US 41 near Rocky Face. Something running at a speed he thinks was around 50 miles per hour passed their car and crossed the space of 5 lanes. He put its height when it was on all fours at the equivalent of that of a truck hood. It was moving close to as fast as I was, he said. It was big and it was hairy. This is not his only sighting. Soon after, about a mile from the first sighting, on Mill Creek Road this time, something about 3 foot tall, again on all fours, ran in front of his vehicle. He's also come across environmental evidence in the woods near his home in the Tunnel Hill Rocky Face area. It's a very unique area of woods, he explained. There are thin pine trees broken down in an unusual and distinct pattern. It looks like a fence. It's round, he said. He checks on the area every 6 months or so, and it remains the same. We don't mess with it, he says. I really feel like they're no threat as long as you're no threat to them. After talking with these folks, I can say their descriptions sounded detailed and unfeigned over the phone. and their accounts serve to deepen the mystery of Bigfoot in my mind. When it comes to these beings, there are few direct conclusions available, and yet, as my rocky faced source suggested, there's a little bit of truth to every fairy tale. On that note, let's not let the story end here. Have you experienced Bigfoot in person? And they want to be emailed with more stories, it looks like. Get that off the screen. Boom, there we go. Where was I? Is in the chats. Mr. Lee says, how is he going to do his hair helmet in prison? Trump's not going to prison, Mr. Lee. Look, this is an illegal, like this investigation is so obviously politically motivated. You're talking about this guy, what's his name? Alvin, I forget his last name right now. This guy regularly reduces the severity of sentences for about any kind of criminal he can. He is all about letting horrible people out of jail and reducing their sentences as much as he can. And now he's going to flip the script around and increase the severity of a crime on this is completely politically motivated. In fact, before this is over with, this is going to be just because he's going to probably end up on charges himself. I think he very well could be. He is abusing his authority and his power. He's abusing his power. So yeah, Trump ain't going to no prison, Mr. Lee. It's just not going to happen. Donald says there will hopefully a Mr. Lee quality production on him. That will be my contribution to the Bigfoot community. Donald says, Mr. Lee, you ever see the white collar prison? It's a country club. Donald could do that. Raptor says, Mr. Lee, I take it Lockbeard took that picture and put it on his post for the night. That's where it came from. Yeah, that's that thumbnail picture. Yeah, it's a picture of the actual cast. Oh, of course they got golf, but he's not going to prison, Mr. Lee. It's not going to happen. Send it now. You send what? Send what to who? Raptor says, Mr. Lee, I apologize. I think I have you confused. Lockbeard said he has that footprint on his page for the night. Did it come from your video? No. That on the thumbnail for tonight's live stream, that's the Elkins track. That's not Mr. Lee's track. That's not Mr. Lee's track. No. No. That's not Mr. Lee's track. Making TV right back. Donald says, I never got a smell with my interactions. The second, it was no more than 30 feet, and it was not happy. You think it would have stunk bad. Well, maybe they're just like people. Sometimes people stink, and sometimes people don't stink. Scratch Cowboy says bedtime stories with Lockbeard. Yeah. I've been upwind. Maybe. Yeah, Uncle Bones done covered it. Looks like Donald. They must be like humans. Some take a bath, others don't. Yeah, Lady says Lockbeard has a nice speaking voice. He could do bedtime stories or read like he is doing here. Angel says, Donald, I wonder if the area makes a difference or the time of year. Raptor says, Donald, we don't know what they smell like. That's been made up by people years ago. Could be the wind direction. Who knows? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think we really know for sure what they smell like. Lady says, I was thinking that too, Angel. The smell, as described, sounds like a compost pile with dead animals in it. Those piles stay warm in winter, but they stink. Yeah. One year I was keeping I had a real big compost pile, and I was keeping it regularly turned and watering it enough that it got to cooking really good. Put a thermometer in it, and it was reading like 160 degrees or so. Like I put my hand in it, and this is in wintertime. Put my hand in it, and I would have to take my hand out after a second or two because it was too hot. It would start to burn you. You could literally probably cook something in there. 160 degree. It got hot. Composting is cool. Lady says maybe Bigfoot used something like that to stay warm on winter nights. Yeah, if they figure out that getting a good compost pile going, all you gotta do is just turn it so it gets fresh air into it, and add water. You don't want it to get too dry, and it will start cooking. Navy Raptor. When were the first reports of odor made? I don't know. Um, finding out when all the, because, at some point somebody makes a claim and then a bunch of people jump on it. And you show that how someone started a particular idea, and then suddenly everybody wants to think that they saw that same thing. Or they describe the same odor, they describe the same sight, describe the same sound when nobody was describing that before. And I think that's how you can kind of sort out some of the stuff that's bullshit. Because somebody made a stupid claim and then everybody jumped on it because they thought they were, getting in on the game. Donald says probably around the time wood knocks, tree snaps, and portals, and red eyes, of course. Yeah, yeah, ridiculous. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, somebody told me to urinate on my compost for better compost. Is that true? That's the first I've heard of that. I can imagine that urine can, add maybe certain nutrients, a dash of salt. A dash of salt could help with the composting process, but only a little. Um, if it's cold, you're going to warm it up a little bit and help it get to cooking. You're going to add some moisture. Theoretically, a little bit would, but too much could possibly kill off certain types of microbes and fungi. Um, but look, don't piss on your compost pile. You don't need to, Mr. Lee. Just put together some green plant material and some brown plant material, a mix of the two, and and then what I did for the big pile was take a piece of fencing in a circle, and I tossed all my leaves and grass clippings and stuff like that in there, so that it was kind of like a column. It was like 7 feet across. I had a lot of stuff in there. And you kind of got to have some pretty sturdy fencing to make this work. But there's no post. I just connected the fence in a circle, and then so that it would hold together. And then throw some in there and spray some water with the hose. Throw some more in there, spray some water with the hose, and get it all in there and damp, and it will start to cook on its own. You don't need to piss on it, Mr. Lee. You probably don't, it's just, you don't want to piss on it. You're going to put it in your garden, right? And see, and in this way, what you do is you unhook the fence about a week later and hook it back together next to your compost pile. Get your hose ready again. Get your pitchfork. Start pitching this stuff into the fence again next to where it was, and spray some water, pitch some more in there, spray some water, pitch some more in there till you get it all back in there. And, you're keeping it tossed and aerated and watered, and it'll start to cook. It will start to cook, Mr. Lee. Yeah. 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 But I really don't think people want to be pissing on their compost pile, though. Raptor says Patterson Gillen film of Patty. They never said that they smelled her, but in the late 70s or the 80s, people were saying Bigfoot smell. Doesn't sound right to me. Donald says with the THC in your system, Mr. Lee, it would be considered a Superfund site. Mr. Lee says, old lady in the woods. Yes, he was an old boy, worked on farms for years. Icon says, ha, I found you. Well, you couldn't find me? We've been on nearly 2 hours, Icon. Welcome to the chat. Uncle Bones says, organic farm I worked, a chicken po compost come from documentation of tips and fermentation time. Neighbors complained about poop smell until we showed them the paperwork. Ours almost smelled chocolate. To tell you missed everything again. Oh man, urine is sterile. It is sterile. Lady says urine is sterile, but you're right about the compost not needing extra. Yeah, it'll compost, but look, I have no doubt that the urine would add something to it, but you don't need to. You probably don't want to be pissing on your compost that's going in your garden. I'm just saying, it's, you do what you want to do, Mr. Lee. You don't need to, though. I have never pissed on my compost, okay? I've never pissed on my compost. Composting is magic. Yeah, Mr. Lee. Straight up witchcraft, man. But yeah, if you are Bigfoot with the capability of grabbing a tree and shredding off every leaf off of a 70-foot tree, because this is how amazing. These are what the stories say, right? The Bigfoot can rip out a trunk as big around as a 55-gallon drum and destroy the tree. So Bigfoot could make their compost pile, and then if their toes get a little chilly, they'll just stick their feet in their compost pile, and they keep them warm. Sounds like a plan, right? Does that sound like a plan? Oh, let's see here. Where's this at? This is on the dirt.com website. Go searching for Sasquatch at these Georgia campgrounds. This is a few years old, but I'm sure these campgrounds are still there. Please do not feed the Sasquatch. I think it's probably a good rule to have. The Expedition Bigfoot Museum is easy to pass, sitting right on the edge of Highway 551 in Georgia and surrounded by not much more than pine forest and peaking Blue Ridge mountain views. The town of Cherry Log, Georgia, population 119, seems like a pass-through town, a place often driven through while people are on their way somewhere else. but one rainy afternoon, which grayed those famous Blue Ridge Mountains, I purposely stopped here to visit the proclaimed largest Bigfoot museum in the world. I was armored with skepticism. I first felt that armor weaken when we were greeted at the door by two women, one with a child on her hip. I also had my 2-year-old on my hip and my mother with me. They greeted us with big smiles and told us the best way to get around the museum. There were no theatrics or conspiratorial nudges to believe in Bigfoot. Wandering around, my skepticism gave way to curiosity. Expedition Bigfoot was no mere roadside attraction. After sifting through the many artifacts, recordings, anecdotes, and cross cultural folk tales about Bigfoot, all of which was polished in its presentation, I realized the legend deserved more than an eye roll and a scoff. How have so many people around the globe had similar encounters with the beast? Turns out that many Georgians don't have to look further than their backyards to experience a Bigfoot sightings. Camp near Bigfoot in Georgia. Massive yet elusive, mysterious yet famous, creature yet manlike, this animal of contradictions has been sighted in Georgia, even outside the museum. The Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization documents, investigates, and classifies Bigfoot encounters across the United States and Canada. Their interactive map shows 132 documented Bigfoot encounters in Georgia, many of which cluster in the remote areas where people camp. Depending on your regional location, Bigfoot in Georgia goes by many names. You may hear some colloquial terms to refer to the mysterious creature. The area near the Chattahoochee River that forms the Georgia Alabama state line has reportedly called a Sasquatch like creature Shecky Bean. The Okefenokee Swamp to the south may be inhabited by a pigman or swamp ape. No matter what you call Bigfoot, you can camp in Georgia with hopes of a glance at the elusive legend if you believe them to be out there. Bigfoot sightings in Georgia with campgrounds nearby. The BFRO database includes nationwide reports of experiences with Bigfoot, and each sighting is assigned a classification. Class A are reports of clear sightings where chances of misidentification, say a bear print was mistaken for a Bigfoot print, are slim. Class B reports are still reliable according to BFRO, but may have occurred when visibility was poor or may be a secondhand account from a credible person. Class C reports have a high chance of misinterpretation due to lack of evidence. BFRO keeps most of the Class C reports in its archives, but does not publish them online. The following are examples of Class A Bigfoot sightings in Georgia. Rude Creek Park Campground. That looks pretty neat. On the cusp of the Georgia-Alabama state line and off the banks of the Chattahoochee, two men fled from a towering creature that approached their tent while camping at Rude Creek Campground one summer night in 2000. The two campers were alerted to something strange in the woods when their yellow Labrador started anxiously signaling into the dark forest. When the man stepped out of his tent, he was met with a figure that towered over him, dwarfing his 6-foot stature. The two campers shot at the tall bipedal creature, got in their trunk, and abandoned their camping equipment and pulled over at a nearby BP quick stop to report the sighting. The BFRO confirmed this sighting and annotated it as a Class A after interviewing the BP Quick Stop employees, the local police force, and a reporter who wrote a piece on the local Bigfoot activity. Camping at Rue Creek Park. It's operated by the Army Corps of Engineers. The camp has 30 available campsites. It's open year-round. It is free for the public to stay a maximum of 14 days. Boat ramp and 4.3 miles of looped hiking are available at the campsite. Plots accommodate tents and RVs up to 35 feet. Do not attempt to shoot any unidentified creatures. 2. The Okefenokee Swamp. Just shy of midnight, a man and his wife were driving south on a deserted highway 441 in Klitsch County, Georgia, just west of the Okefenokee Swamp. A 7-foot, lanky, and long-haired figure stood at the side of the road. Moments later, a potent sewer-like smell filled the car. Georgia's Okefenokee Swamp is familiar terrain for these ape-man-like creatures and some other beasts of lore, sometimes called the South Georgia pigman and the skunk ape. If you follow the Okefenokee Swamp to Florida, a mysterious but similar being is referred to as the Barden Booger. When the couple stopped for gas and explained what they saw to some locals, one man said, "You saw a swamp ape." The camp nearby Okefenokee Wilderness Primitive Camping. The Okefenokee Swamp is a massive 400,000 acres of fresh and black waterways, prairies, and forests. Overnight camping is permitted, but permits and careful planning are required. The swampy wilderness can be explored during a multi-night stay by canoeing and winding water trails to various designated primitive camping spots. I won't read all the camp information. Anyone that's watching, you can pause here if you want that information. They got phone numbers and stuff and more information about the campsites. I'm just going to read the sightings. Red Top Mountain State Park. It was an ordinary summer morning off the banks of Allatoona Lake for one group of paranormal investigators who had been examining an abandoned cemetery for weeks. Throughout the inspection, rocks were thrown at the team from an unknown source. Howls were heard at night, and tracks were spotted with no explicable source. They chalked it up to hauntings, but one fateful morning they became believers in a different kind of being. At the edge of the cemetery, the paranormal investigator and his teammate made eye contact with a 7-foot dark brown Bigfoot. This Sasquatch was not alone, accompanied by a still large but smaller in stature Bigfoot. When the witness attempted to get closer, the two creatures walked away, but picked up a baby Bigfoot out of the tall grass, placed the adolescent on its shoulder, and left unhurried. According to some, there appears to be some correlation between Bigfoot sightings and rural cemeteries. More Georgia Bigfoot fun facts. Assuming the beast is real, the Bigfoot in Georgia are just a small subsect of a species across the world, and different cultures call Bigfoot different names. Nukluk in Canada, Oma Tuhuma Native Americans, the Mandbarong Jungle Man in India. At the very least, it's interesting that many cultures around the globe have some variation in historical myth of this creature that many consider a hoax. Some of the most interesting evidence that supports the existence of Bigfoot is the whorls that have been taken from cast prints. Just like a human fingerprint, some alleged Bigfoot prints are so clear that the anatomical detail is visible. The intricate amount of detail involved in the print evidence would be incredibly difficult to replicate for the sake of a hoax, according to anthropologist Jeffrey Meldrum. From an evolutionary perspective, many believers conclude that the ancestor to Bigfoot is Gigantopithecus, an extinct genus of ape that walked the earth 100,000 years ago. As the name suggests, these creatures were massive, the largest primates ever known to have lived. Gigantopithecus reached heights of 9.8 feet and weighed more than 1,000 pounds. Expedition Bigfoot, the Sasquatch Museum. I expected the Expedition Bigfoot Museum to be 4,000 square feet filled with low-quality photos of some mid-stride blurred figures and a kitschy gift shop. I was half right. I told myself it was probably no more than a quirky roadside attraction for people bored on road trips and for the Sasquatch devoted who needed no more convincing. It was fun to be proven wrong. The museum wastes no time in dramatically attempting to convert the non-believers by simply laying out the evidence it has in many different mediums, and there's plenty of it. The Expedition Bigfoot Museum is thoughtfully and, dare I say, convincingly laid out to present the evidence of Bigfoot's existence in a logical and engaging manner. I was only half right because there is a kitschy gift shop at the end for all your Bigfoot knick-knack purchases. There's a list of related campgrounds. So yeah, that was interesting read. Where's somebody in the chat? Mr. Lee says he emailed me a picture of your cast. Did you? Raptor says, Mr. Lee, the water from the rain will help the compost pile, and every 2 weeks you have to go out and flip it over. Yeah. Yeah, flip it over every so often. I mean, he says 2 weeks. I said 1. Sometimes I would flip it every 3 days. It depends just how much time you want. The more you work the pile, the faster it will cook, and how fast you want, because you could go out and just throw a pile of compost out and let it sit all winter, and it will compost pretty slowly. It will still compost though, but it'll just happen really, really slowly. It won't get really hot. But if you turn it a lot and add water, don't let it get dry. Always keep it moist, and it'll heat up. It will heat up. It'll get hot enough you can't leave your hand in there. You have to take your hand out. It gets so hot if you do it good. Lady says Bigfoot and compost theory. You heard it first on the Lockbeard channel. Yeah, Bigfoot. That's how Bigfoot keeps his feet warm in the woods. I know everybody was wondering about that. Pretty good. How about yourself, says Raptor. Not too shabby. Donald says, isn't our target remote viewer from Georgia? Oh, yeah. I don't know. Is she from there? She still hasn't, if she's psychic, surely she knows that I have designated a remote viewing target for her to remote view, and she just hasn't come through.
Look like a tasty teenage boy.
Just hasn't through. Oh my gosh, that stupid for everything's bogged down. That took forever to pop up. Took forever. Golden that stream, Mr. Lee. You're single-minded, Mr. Lee. Were you not here for the new gemstone that's been discovered that's harder than diamond? Teenage boy lover. Yeah. Sure there is, Mr. Lee, says Donald. Says Cody in the Unknown Channel did a show on Bigfoot. Don't go now. It was half decent. There's a link in the chat, y'all, if you want to go see that afterwards. Tom Cruise is here. Says, Uncle Bones, I will sue you for calling me that. No, Tom Cruise, you always wanting to sue people. 3 days ago. Don't talk about teenage boys and Tom. Calm down. I was calling out the remote viewer from Georgia, says Uncle Bones. Yeah, Jessica. Raptor says, Old Lady in the Woods. I never heard of that channel. I'll have to check it out later. Thank you. Taking talking to himself to a whole new level. Yes, he has. Tom Cruise, you are one cringe effer. Ah, Donald, dang it, I just missed it. I was just looking at a clip today that I was planning on making into one of these little videos to respond to stuff that would have been a perfect response to what you said right there. It involves the word cringe. And I just didn't get around to doing it and putting it on StreamYard. It would have been perfect right now if these stupid videos would play in a timely manner. Donald, that's what I'm saying, man, says Mr. Lee. Icon says, so someone freaked because they thought they saw something and didn't know where the shit smell was coming from. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe one of the partners in that situation shit him or herself and blamed it on the Bigfoot. Donald says, you see, peeps are fighting back at Elon for him charging for the verification check mark. Yeah. Why does anyone give a shit about that thing? It's so stupid. It's so damn stupid. Mr. Lee says, I once dug a garden up with a rotary. Oh man, that earth stink. I reckon there were dead bodies under there. Well, you don't have to till up a garden, Mr. Lee. You don't have to till up a garden. Like I had a garden spot at one spot where there like there was just like this much dirt on top of the rock. So you couldn't till it up. So what I did was go get me some railroad ties and outline where the garden is going to be on that rock, and then go get a truckload of mushroom compost. There's a mushroom farm nearby. I think I got a couple truckloads of mushroom compost, and just put in 6 inches of mushroom compost inside those railroad ties, and then grew in that. Worked fine. Actually, it worked really good. Mushroom compost is pretty good stuff. The bodies were probably collectors of your dad's gambling debts, Mr. Lee. Damn. Uncle Bone says, Mr. Lee, a subsoiled 5 feet down farm D9 cat. Don't doubt it, he's Italian. Gabon says, I was preparing to lay grass. I don't excavate. I shouldn't have said that. Oh crap, face Fuchsia. Yeah, your emoji didn't come through over here. It was for compaction. Let the earth breathe. Oh, Lady of the Woods. The earth will breathe if you just like let the earthworms do it. Because this is something that's been kind of an issue with the way we do agriculture. Is it destroys the earthworm populations. The crap that we spray, and then there's some species of earthworms that make tunnels that go 17 feet deep in the ground, and they make permanent tunnels. So when it rains, the water comes down and it infiltrates deep into the soil. And then as the water, dissipates from that tunnel, fresh air is brought down 17 feet into the ground, sometimes more, because of earthworms and stuff. Well, tilling the ground destroys all that. You get a temporary effect from tilling, but it's not anything compared to what the natural life of the soil is supposed to do that gets disturbed by the tilling process. So, um, well, like I've made a number of different gardens by not tilling at all. I just spread out, maybe 2 or 3 inches of compost at max. Sometimes no compost. Sometimes I just put down a layer of cardboard and then straw on top of that, wet it down so it holds down the cardboard. The cardboard keeps the weeds down. The straw and the cardboard together keep the ground moist. Don't use any chemicals. So all the earthworms are living and thriving. They're eating the cardboard. They eat the glue because the glue for the cardboard is made out of cornstarch. The earthworms eat the glue of the cardboard boxes. And then they also eat the straw. So my earthworms are really, really happy. And so what happens is the ground is able to absorb way more water. There's less runoff if your earthworm population is in good shape. But tilling the ground destroys a lot of that. So it's not, and then the sprays and chemicals really hits them though, because first you come through and you completely annihilate their habitat, and then there's also issues with, because you got to remember this is the ecosystem of the earthworm, and at different depths, an inch down, 2 inches down, 3 inches down, there's different types of microbes and fungi and things that live at different depths in the soil. All of that gets completely thrown into chaos by a tiller. So, people can use this information if they want. I'm just saying, the last 15 years of gardening that I actually did, because last several years I haven't done any gardening anymore because I don't eat vegetables anymore. But for 15 years, I didn't till a single garden. I put the cardboard down, put the straw on top of it, then I poke a hole through and plant my plants in the holes, and and then make sure and tuck the cardboard tight, so the weeds can't come up next to your plant. So your weeds are suppressed, your ground is moist. By end of the season, the cardboard's partially broken down, the straw's partially broken down, and you can rake all that up into a compost pile. And then next spring, spread out your compost. It might only be an inch thick over the amount of garden you got, but that's okay because there's soil underneath there. And you're just going to add a fresh layer of cardboard and straw and do the whole thing over again. No tilling ever required. Harvesting soil. Then enough prison time. Worried about myself. Doing just fine, mate. Uncle Bones says Lady Woods was large organic farm in Oregon. After years of farming, you have to dig up 4 to 6 feet with a ripper to help the soil breathe. Got 4 likes. Dozer. Soil compaction does reduce crops. Soils that I'm familiar with are 4 to 5 feet would be a lot though. Clay soil, topsoil 3 feet or less, and layer actual clay underneath has a lot of places. Mr. Lee says Lockbird ground and garden was all uneven, full of rocks. It was pain in the ass. Yeah, Mr. Lee, just do what I just said. Don't just spread out a layer or compost, whatever you want to use, or don't even. I mean, it depends on how much rocks you got. If you don't got any kind of soil to plant in, like that spot I described earlier, then you probably want to put 5-6 inches of compost and soil or whatever you got. But if there's already soil underneath, and there's some rocks in it, but man, don't till. Just put cardboard down, throw straw on top of the cardboard, and then cut a hole in. Or I've even taken like a drill with a big old huge drill bit and drilled into that. You kind of gotta hold the cardboard because it'll twist up the cardboard, but you want to make sure the cardboard's wet so it'll poke through. Or sometimes you can just poke through with a spade, wiggle it back and forth, open it up, put your plant in, tuck everything back around the plant, and go on. But you don't need till. Yeah. The problems that people think they're having with their garden, it's all about what we're doing. We're disturbing everything about the soil ecosystem. We're spraying all kinds of chemicals on stuff. We're just jacking around. Work with nature. What's nature do? At the end of the season, winter comes on, the grass dies down to the ground and becomes the compost on the ground. The leaves from the trees, compost on the ground. There's a layer of compost on the ground. And then in the spring, everything grows up out of there. There is no magic elf tilling up the entire earth so that plants can grow. Plants grow everywhere without needing to be tilled. So, why are humans doing this? Well, they got this idea that they need to do this, and you actually don't. And I'm living proof of it. I gardened for 15 years, never tilling the soil. Never tilling the soil. You don't have to do it. The earthworms will create all the air and water infiltration you need if you just take care of them. Do not put chemicals on your garden and fresh layer of decaying plant matter every year. It doesn't have to be much. You know, everything in my garden went back on the ground. It was in the compost pile in the wintertime. Sometimes I didn't even make a compost pile. Sometimes I just let everything fall where it lay. And then in the spring, put the cardboard on top, straw on top of that, poke the holes, plant my plants, boom. Low weeds. Some years I didn't even have to water once because the ground stayed as moist as it needed to be with the amount of rainfall we have all summer long. So that, in fact, that was a year I didn't water at all at this garden. That old man across the street, like he was trying to grow his garden, and it failed. And he was like, "Your garden's pissing me off." He's like, "You don't do anything to it, and it just grows." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just working with nature here. You know, I'm not jacking things around. If you till the ground, you actually result in the land having less ability to for water infiltration and air infiltration. Less ability. You artificially introduced air when you tilled it, but you destroyed all of the permanent tunnels that would normally exist in that piece of land. You killed a bunch of your earthworms. You disrupted the entire ecosystem of the ground that's normally geared towards taking in that water. Everything wants to grab that water. The fungi that establish interconnected networks that you just chopped up, they're going to transport some of that water too. It's not better to till. Is what I'm saying. It's not better to till. Um, Uncle Bone says it was organic farm, zero chemicals. Well, at least they did that. At least they did it. Uncle Bon or Tom Don says, I couldn't imagine the work people did to clear rocks here in Vermont when it was first cleared for farming. We got a lot of stone fences though. Thousands of acres, no cardboard. Well, that could be a problem. But there's still some no-till, for certain types of agriculture that they do, like with corn and stuff that I've seen they're doing it with corn and whatnot. Don says a lot, but people shouldn't eat corn though. People shouldn't eat a lot. Well, you're here. I say people shouldn't eat any plants. Hopefully, I'll be able to prove that to everybody here eventually. It's just I don't. It's just not. I'm not the person set up with. That's why I try to. I try to direct people to the people they really need to talk to who are already set up and doing it. This is why I send people to Ken to talk about field theory. I send people to Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Sean Baker, Dr. Anthony Chafee, and Professor Bart Kay because those are for good people to go to learn about why humans are supposed to be 100% carnivore. So it's just better if people just go and talk to the real experts, right? And so that's you know, I just need to keep bringing it up, I guess, because I shouldn't put a lot of time into trying to prove that, because it's better that they go to people that are already doing that. Glacier receding, some on YouTube. Icon of Gray says, nope, your live stream didn't show up on either of my channels. What the fuck? I don't know, man. YouTube just don't want to play good on this stuff. YouTube shadow ban. Yeah. They even blocked me from my own subscribers. The stream did show on YouTube homepage in this account. No notification though. R2D2 beep 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 bop boop. Mr. Lee says corn is poison. Indeed, Mr. Lee, corn is poison. Lady says corn, beans, and wheat in Ohio almost all no-till because of the soil. Yeah, they're starting to figure out that they shouldn't do that. They shouldn't till. Uncle Bone says, Mr. Lee, I grew super sweet corn. You just grab in the field and eat. Yum. Yeah, corn's a completely unnatural plant too. That thing, because if you ever look into the history of corn, so I studied a lot of botany in college, so of course, uh, most specifically in an ethnobotany course, which human botany, plant biology. It's basically about the plants that are used by humans, and of course that's where we most specifically addressed corn and its history, what it was when we found it as humans. We found it, and then we selectively bred it, and selectively bred it, and selectively bred it some more, so that now corn in its present form cannot survive in the wild anymore. It's been domesticated to the point that it can't do it. It needs humans to survive. Because what happens when you drop a cob of corn? Well, all those kernels are packed on there so tight. If they're all going to try to sprout at once, and they're going to try and compete with each other, and none of them make it to adulthood. None of them make it to adulthood. So, and what'll happen is it'll just be these little grassy plants that deer come along and eat, and they'll just never be able to reproduce. So, Mr. Lee says, Uncle Bones, I stole some sweet corn in France once from a farm. Took ages to boil. Whoops. Lady says, took ages to boil sweet corn, 12 minutes if you overcooked it, Mr. Lee. Sure you didn't grab field corn? Donald says, I got a friend who grows silver queen corn. I can't say no to. Sorry, fellow keto peeps. Fell off the wagon, man. You fell off the wagon. Lady says, which is good too, but not the same thing. The field corn. Mr. Lee says, my gas burner did go out. Such a waste of time. Well, Mr. Lee, you do want your gas burner to work. Uncle Bones says, Mr. Lee, rubbish corn in France, Stallbrush Island farm, sweet corn you can eat raw or cooked with butter. Oh my God. Oh my God. Basically what says, yes, field corn, I bet. Eating cow corn. Mr. Lee's eating cow corn. Mr. Lee, you're not supposed to eat the cow's corn. What are you thinking? What are you doing? Found this website. This website appears to be mostly dead, but I found some people gave their accounts of their stories on this website. So I thought we'd check them out. This is someone calling themselves Warren Langley. They wrote this February 6, 2023. Very unexpected sight in the mid 80s. I lived just off the Flint River in Jonesboro, Georgia. 3 friends and myself were standing around and goofing off as kids in their early teens do at the end of a dead end street off the local subdivision. No noise or reason why, but myself and one of my friends looked up at about the same time, and about 120 yards away, we saw a very large silhouette standing just out of the wood line. That was the edge of the Flint River and the property for E.J. Swint Elementary School. 120 yards away and about 12 to 15 feet lower in elevation from where we were standing, and this thing was huge. Man shaped, with no obvious neck, standing on 2 legs with broad shoulders. It was late evening hours and the sun was going down in the west, the direction we were looking. So, due to lighting, distance, or other reasons, we couldn't make out any specific features, like the face, hair, or the like. It was just too large to be normal. It had to be 7 feet tall at minimum. I remembered the complete feeling of terror that this thing was strangely watching us for some reason, feeling like that if it took off running towards us, that there was no way that we all could get away. We pointed, said, "What's that?" And then we all took off running away into the subdivision and away from this thing. I never spoke about it to anyone for about 30 years. About 30 years later, after much of life had changed, including my residency, a couple of times I had unusual circumstances put me back in touch with one of my childhood friends that was there that day. We talked about many things unrelated to this event or any topic even close to it. Curiosity and a nagging memory of that day had gotten to me, and just before we were about to wrap up our phone call, I asked my friend a question. I asked him, "Do you remember the day we were standing at the end of your subdivision and we saw?" And he finished my sentence. "That huge thing standing at the edge of the woods." That was all I needed to get some relief. It did happen. I did see something. It was there. He remembered it right away with no specifics, coaching, or prodding. He remembered it vividly, too. A very narrow strip of the Flint River running through a populated area. A strange sight indeed. Unexpected and unexplainable. Wish I could have had the nerve to check that area the next day for any sign of the figure's presence the day before. Jim Bohannon, December 28th, 2020, wrote this account. I was in 10th grade in 1974, living in North Newton County on Highway 81, maybe a quarter of a mile south of the Walton County line. My family owns a large tract of farmland there, approximately 625 acres, and most of my relatives live on that land within walking distance of each other. In what I recollect to be December of 1974, that was when I was born, I was doing some hunting alone and I was walking through a cow pasture back in the most remote part of our land, the southeast corner. I carried both a 12 gauge shotgun and a 30-30 rifle. I was heading towards a swampy beaver pond area on land that adjoined ours. It was a cold day and gray, no sun, about 2 in the afternoon. As I was approaching the woods that separates 2 fields, I was walking beside a cow path in the middle of the field. The path was sandy, and as I passed by, I looked down and saw a huge track of a bare foot in the sand. A perfect human like track, but huge with 5 toes. I wore a size 10 hunting boot that day, and I placed my boot beside the track in the sand. This track was a good 6 inches longer than my boot and wider. At first, I thought maybe some cows had been walking the path and had merged their tracks together, creating this human like print, even with the 5 toes. But then I found 4 more prints further along in the sand, all perfectly formed with 5 toes. Also, they currently had the cows in another pasture closer to the houses so they could feed them hay in the winter. They were fenced off from this pasture at that time. I measured my stride against the stride of the prince, and it was almost double my stride. I almost had to leap to get to the next track. Well, the hair on my neck stood up, and I was scared, like something was watching me. Nevertheless, I continued forward into the woods towards where the cow trail led. When I got to the woods, I could see where the leaves had been scuffed up, like something big had been walking through these woods. I continued on into the next pasture and eventually across the beaver pond into a distant neighbor's house. It was closer to their house than back home, and I was scared to go back by those tracks. When I got to my neighbor's house, they were not at home. I intended to ask them to drive me home. Since they were gone, I decided to walk approximately 3.5 miles, a long way around, and up the side of Highway 81 instead of going back the way I came because I was so scared. When I got home, I begged my dad to come with me. We'd buy some plaster, go make molds of the tracks. Of course, he didn't believe me, but he agreed to come. As we were getting in the car to head to the store for the plaster, the clouds opened up and it started pouring rain. I knew there'd be no tracks left by the time we got there, so I told him to forget it and we went back inside the house. I still hunt that land, and I still think about those tracks every time I walk through that field. I know what I saw. Vince Strack wrote, my wife and I are planning to do some camping and hiking. Looks like they didn't have an account here, though. They're responding to a very short posting on this site, but this is the commentary. This person has decided mostly bears, lots of bears. Okay. This person wants to use a telescope at lookout spots to hunt for Bigfoot, I guess. Here's another account from Simply Bob, September 2020. My wife and I stayed in a cabin for a few days, end of July 2018, off Route 9, around the edge of Chat National Forest. 2 cabins located about 100 yards from summit of Blue Ridge Mountain Range. Heavy forest and black at night. Around 3 a.m., I woke to banging on bedroom wall of cabin, which lasted about 10 minutes. Next morning, we went out and found a 4-inch thick branch broken, which was about 10 foot long, with broken end against side of cabin. I was too afraid to investigate too far. Next 3 nights, my wife heard a huffing noise on porch and side of house, while again around 3 a.m. we heard pounding and beating on cabin wall on opposite side of headboard. Very scary final morning when we were leaving. I found 5 long claw marks dragged across most of the stairs leading up the porch. I have asked locals to look at photos of the claw marks, and some believe bear, others won't comment. It was exciting but scary, and now a few years later, I realized cabin was maybe 35 miles from Bigfoot Museum, and cabins are on fringe of national forest. I wish I had investigated more like on TV, but when it is happening to you, most of us wouldn't be that brave, I bet. Also had no weapon for protection. While having lunch in town, overheard another couple telling folks they found a mountain lion under their cabin. I don't know. I think there's a number of more accounts. We'll read one more from Reverend Andrew Stubbs in April 2019. Andrew Stubbs, Marion County, Georgia. Saw an 8-foot tall Bigfoot under my street lamp in 2018. Dog was barking furiously. I thought someone was stealing my gas. Eased out on porch in power chair. Slightly opened screen. Man, I opened screen slightly to look out with 410 gauge pistol birdshot 1 round. 30 feet away, this giant, long, reddish black hair stunk badly was facing me. He let out a deep growl. Yep, I know exactly what it was saying. Don't come closer. No problem, no way I was going to shoot a giant like that with birdshot. Had to be 800 pounds at least. Huge. We watched each other a minute. He turned and walked down my driveway. My grandpa called them wild men. Grandpa Stubbs had always told me they had a right to live in peace without being disturbed, just like we do. He said, Andy, don't bother them, and they won't bother you. All my life, I've heard the voices of them in the swamp back of my house, usually in late summer and early fall. They are hunter-gatherers around here. I am a pastor. This is godly truth. We have one on Gamelin bending down, facing away. I think it's meant game cam there. Bending down, facing away from game cam. His butt is 2 foot above the hood of my Chevy truck. They steal our Subway bread. We get to feed our chickens, which is in a barrel with 2 concrete blocks on top. We find crumbs always to the swamp. We have also found a killing field where they catch and kill deer. I found deer stuffed, half eaten, 12 feet off the ground, growing up, trapping in the swamp. Many times I felt watched, but they've never harmed me. Well, that's enough from that site. That's enough from that site. Lady says you stopped here. Eating cow corn. Make moonshine with that corn. Yeah. Smoke corn silks. Marlboros. You don't need to smoke the Marlboros, Mr. Lee. Have yet to try moonshine. Someone adds menthol cigs. Tom Cruise secretly smokes them too. What the hell? Mr. Lee says, I worked here years ago. Or Uncle Bone says it to Mr. Lee. Does Tom smoke around the mesca veggies? What? Better have a look after Lockbeard. Trying to find footage of Uncle Bones wheeling his sprint car. Bong. Don't tell. Tom Cruise says, Mr. Lee, I will sue your ass. Tom's got enough loot. Uncle Bones says to Mr. Lee, I had no idea spinach could be bad for you. I brought home garbage bags of it, home of baby spinach. Lady says, deer 12 foot up a tree is a cougar. Yeah, it definitely could be a cougar. Um, or hey, it could even be an American cheetah for all we know. Because what if there's a remnant population of those cheetahs? Just because scientists haven't spotted them for the last 10,000 years doesn't mean there aren't a few still hanging around. And if they act anything like cheetahs in Africa, they may very well drag their prey up in a tree. But we know we got cougars, so yeah. Mr. Lee says, Bones, you must do research for yourself. Many vegetables we eat are toxic to our system. Many, Mr. Lee, every single one. Every single one of them is toxic. Spinach isn't bad for you. Spinach is most definitely bad for you, lady. I promise you, go like just I dare you. I dare you to set up a consultation with Professor Bart K, and he'll explain everything. Say, look, this crazy guy named Lockbeard is always dropping your name and saying the spinach is poison. This guy's crazy, right? He looks crazy. He talks about Bigfoot and UFOs and shit like that. He's gotta be fucking nuts. Saying spinach is poisonous to humans. Yeah, spinach is absolutely poisonous to humans. I promise you. Donald says Uncle Bone spinach is my nemesis. Donald says Uncle Bone spinach is my nemesis. Gets my legs full of blood clots. Years ago. People are different. Sorry, Donald. No, it's not just a matter of people being different. It's just it's an absolute fact. I promise you. I know it's hard to believe. Like years ago when I believed all the stuff they told us that broccoli's healthy, it's like a superfood, right? Spinach is super healthy for you, all this stuff. But I never actually looked into these things and looked at, I just believed what they told us. And it couldn't possibly be the exact opposite, right? Well, it turns out that it absolutely is. These things are toxic to humans. They don't do us any good to eat them, and they actually poison us. And so we just are able to we survive eating them. But just because you survive eating a poisonous plant doesn't mean that it's good for you to eat it at all. It's not. It's absolutely poisonous to humans. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, are you going to show my Bigfoot cast picture? I'll have to get my email, Mr. Lee, and try to pull that up. Lady says, in that case, Donald, stay away from the cleaning barkeeper's friend. It's essentially is oxalic acid, which is the chemical in spinach that most likely affects you. Oxalic acid is just one of the most prominent things in spinach that's bad for humans. There's a bunch of stuff in spinach that's bad for humans. The whole plant is just toxic to humans. It's a vitamin K. Bone says Donald Fuller, the only footage of my race car I lost on a past computer. My first wife burned my memorabilia. She was sick. Started reading their work. Cool. You can't disagree with them. They're right. You can't disagree with people that are right and experts in their field. Mr. Lee says, I make fantastic nettle soup in winter. I love. Documentation reminded me of the doctors that convinced us that fat was bad in the 80s. It's not remotely like that. Donald says, Uncle Bones, it's amazing what you can find for local track footage from way back. Yes, that's absolutely true. What's her name? Amber O'Hearn. That's who you should talk to. Talk to Amber O'Hearn. Ask her what humans are supposed to eat. She'll tell you the same thing. She'll tell you the same thing. Old lady in Woods says doctors told us that the thing was going to kill us. Yeah, those people were the ones that were wrong. These are the ones that are right. That was wrong too. I've been looking. If you find number 19 sprint cars, Donald says, "Okay, okay." So, what's next? Of course, we got to look at the BFRO Georgia, right? Don't we? Of course we do. Of course we do. This is the Georgia page for Bigfoot sightings on the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization website, who I do not trust still. Because one, look at how sparse this is. They're throwing out so many sightings because they don't like what they're saying. Because sometimes people are claiming that they see something, but the BFRO doesn't like it, and so they discard the sighting, even though instead of treating all the sightings with the same standard, they don't. They if you say you saw a Bigfoot doing something kind of amazing, they'll throw out your sighting, even though you're just as credible as the next guy. But look, I mean, most counties have no sightings at all on the BFRO website, and the ones that do have sightings are mostly one sighting. The most, the most sightings is these 11 in White County, and I think the next one is up here, Paulding County, 9 sightings. So I went ahead and pulled up the Class A reports that they do have on those 2 major counties. So let me see if I got this pulled up. Yep, there it is. This report number 46328, Class A, submitted by witness on Friday, August 22nd, 2014. Motorist has a daylight sighting on GA 75. Spring 2009, 2 miles north of Duncan Bridge. Late March or early April 2009, approximately 18:15 hours. I was southbound on GA 75 between Helen and Cleveland, Georgia, about 0.2 of a mile north of Duncan Bridge, Highway 384. As I rounded the bend, I saw something getting ready to cross the road from east to west. As I slowed, my first thought was that someone was dressed in a costume. But I dismissed that idea because every pickup around here had a shotgun in the back window, and a good percentage, like myself, had a gun in the car. When he heard me, he stopped on the shoulder. He did not look at me for a few seconds, but then slowly he turned towards me, looked, and then continued to turn 180 degrees and walk into the woods. I was unable to pull off the shoulder and park because of hay bales and plastic used to stop erosion. Traffic was backed up behind me, so I drove to Duncan Bridge and left on a private road with the hope of seeing him again. No luck. What I saw, he appeared to be 6'2" to 6'4". He was standing erect, but had a slightly hollow chest. His legs and torso seemed normal as compared to a human, but his arms were longer. His fur was full and sleek. It had a shine to it, a medium to light brown. He looked healthy. It was his eyes that I remember most. He looked at me with an intelligence that you don't see in an animal. The only other time I experienced that was with a dolphin. I contacted DNR the next day. They had not received of the sightings. I know the lady that submitted your report number 7237. I called her and we compared notes. Even though the two sightings were only 0.2 miles apart, seems like a different animal. Follow-up investigation report from BFRO investigator David Bacara. Does that name sound familiar? I spoke with the witness by phone, and he was careful and methodical in his description of the animal he saw. He just goes through it again, it looks like. At the closest, he was 35 feet away, but his windows were rolled up, so he never noticed any odor. Couldn't describe how the creature walked. Well, let's look at the next. I think this might be the. Did he say? He said 7237. Okay, that's this next report here. Next sighting. Also a Class A sighting. 1999. Highway 75 between Cleveland and Helen were the nearest town. Observed. It was on Thanksgiving night in 99. I was driving home from my daughter's apartment in Cleveland, Georgia, when suddenly I thought I saw a man crossing the road on Highway 75. I hit my brakes and realized that it was wearing no clothes and was covered in hair like a bear. But it walked upright and hunched more like a man or a huge ape-like thing. It was definitely not a bear. It was large and long-armed. It turned its head and looked over at me, then swiftly jumped down a huge drop and disappeared into the woods. It all happened so fast, I was shocked and went home, not sure what I believed I had seen at that moment. Before then, I had never been sure something like that had existed, and I tried to rationalize what I had seen. But now I am convinced that it was, in fact, neither man nor bear nor simple ape. I cannot prove what it actually was, but I can say that it was quite amazing. Either that night or the next morning, I called animal control saying I saw a bear, believing that it wouldn't be taken serious if I said what I know I saw. There were cattle nearby that needed protection. Let me see looks like the follow-up investigation report by BFRO investigator Matt Pruitt. So some people will recognize that name. Here's another Class A sighting. Daylight sighting by an artifact hunter northwest of Cleveland, September 2007. It was off a Forest Service road near alternate 75. I will try to explain what I saw while returning home from a day of walking in a clear cut looking for Indian artifacts. The clear cut was located at the foot of the southeast end of the Horse Range Mountain near Loudsville Campground in White County, Georgia. I was driving on a Forestry Service road when I saw what at first I thought was a bear about 200 yards away, but when I stopped and watched it, I saw that it was not. It walked upright with a slight stoop for about 75 yards down a hill towards a small creek that was bordered by trees and brush. The road crossed the creek, so I thought if I went on down the road, I could see it as it came out the other side. But it did not come out, and I did not get out of the Bronco to go looking for it. I did not hear any sound, and to be honest, I did not tell anybody about it for years until I told my son Eric, who contacted you. This was also followed up by Matt Pruitt. There's another Class A sighting, 2015, October, Paulding County. I was driving on Old Cartersville Road towards Highway 61, just past the chicken farm, but before the pond. I had my 13-year-old son with me. I saw what I thought was a bear crouched down on the right side of the road. I turned to tell my son to look at the bear. My son was in the back seat. Before I could turn back around all the way, I noticed it stood up on two legs. My son was asking what it was. Then I noticed it was over 7 foot 6 inches tall, covered in long black hair. It was burly. It was all of 500 to 600 pounds. It was no more than 20 or 30 yards outside our truck window. It was so large I could see its muscles in its legs, thighs. Its head appeared to sit on its shoulders like it had no neck. The head looked like it came to a point. It looked like a bipedal ape. It had something white in its hand. That's when it registered it had hands and not claws. The arms were longer than any human arms. They seemed to stretch closer to the knee area. When it walked, the knees worked perfectly. It did not have a bow-legged effect, which made it seem human, but it looked like an ape. It did not, which made it seem human, but it looked like an ape. It started to move towards the road, walking on two legs. My lights stayed on. It seemed to want out of my lights. When it walked for the road, it was headed in the path of my truck. I was on a small curve, so my lights followed it. I hit my fog lights and it turned back from the direction it came. It picked up speed and started to run, still on two legs. I could see the footfalls and the thigh muscles bounce. I also saw butt muscles flex all under the hair. It started moving so fast, the white thing in its hand was almost a blur. The next day, I returned to the area where it ran off into the woods. It was uphill. I thought it was flat as fast as it was moving. The house close by had chicken coops with white and brown chickens in it. So I guess the implications is the thing had a chicken, a white chicken. Followed up by David Bacara in this case as well. This is another Class A sighting, March 20, 2007, February. As we were coming home from church about 9:30 on a Wednesday night, we were headed down Highway 101. We were driving slower than usual because it was so dark and there wasn't a lot of traffic on the road, making sure we didn't hit any deer. As we were approaching a curve, we spotted movement on the right side of the road. We slowed more because we thought it was a deer. As we got closer, it decided to cross the road. It was so big it seemed to be a bear, but as we looked closer, it was only on two legs instead of four. It was so tall, it seemed to walk hunched over, dragging its arms. Were we seeing things? We got chills as we passed an old swamp clearing in Paulding County and realized that we had heard tales of Bigfoot in this area. And after researching what we saw, we know 100% that we saw him. It was the biggest, widest creature I've ever seen and really didn't seem to be bothered by us. And then he just disappeared like in the blink of an eye. Followed up by Lee Culver in this case. And this is a Class A sighting at night by a motorist outside Hiram. We live about a mile from Austin Bridge Road in Paulding County, Georgia. We believe we may have seen whatever it is was seen in your report 14887. We were going to drive out to Hiram for dinner in our Suburban, and we're heading towards Ridge Road on Austin Bridge. Near where Austin Bridge intersects Mine Mitchell Road, we saw what I would describe as an animal with the basic body structure of a bear, but standing on its hind legs, and a face that seemed more wolfish than anything else. It had to be about 9 feet tall. It stood in the road. At about 200 yards, we decided to pull the vehicle around and go in a different direction rather than drive any closer. That one was followed up by Lee Culver as well. Looks like I didn't get it shared, but there it is. Make sure I get this one up. January 2013, Class A. Law enforcement officer recalls his daylight sighting as a youth with his horses in northwest of Atlanta. So it was submitted in 2013, but he saw it in 2004. This word. Spastic thing. I lived in Hickory Estates off Highway 61 in a 2-story house with my mother's sister's stepfather. We had over 125 acres in the backyard, nothing but woods. The woods were covered in trees and little creeks. Me and my friends always played in the woods. For years, we would find crazy things out there that just didn't make sense, like trees bent over. And I remember a big hole, like 20 feet deep, maybe 40 feet wide, round. We called it the hole. Well, we decided to transport our horses behind our house, so we cut down about 4 acres of trees, leveled it off, and built a barn and fenced the area in. About 5 months later, after everything was built and finished, I would get bored and I would go in the pasture and hang out with the horses, feeding them, just hanging out. I have 3 horses, Rambo, Reno, and Dakota. He's really going into details. He likes his horses, okay? The pasture had a barn in the far back in the right corner. As I'm standing by Reno and Rambo, I heard some movement in the brush to my right. To the left of the barn, about 40 yards from me, as I turned and looked, my horses, Reno and Rambo, spooked and ran towards my house away from the barn. As I look at this thing, I could only see the left front side of it facing me, hidden in the bush. The color was a red auburn. I thought, what is Dakota doing? Then I realized this thing is outside of the fence. I thought Dakota got out. So as I walked toward what I thought was my horse, Dakota, at that time, Dakota runs out of the barn beside me and runs to the house. At that point, I froze and the hair stood up on my neck. This upright walking figure stepped to its left, made a grunt sound, breathing, looked right at me, and then turned, pushing small trees and brush over and taking off into the woods. It was about 8.5 feet tall, massive in size, and covered in red hair. The thing I call Bigfoot was ripped, very strong. As it took off, you could hear the footsteps, very heavy. I ran toward the house and told my mom, and everyone just looked at me like I was crazy. So I kept it to myself. This is my first sighting. Then, about 9 months ago, in 2012, I had another sighting. I'm about to write that sighting next. This was followed up by investigator Morris Collins. I don't think I know of that person. Well, that's all the Class A sightings in the two counties with the most prolific encounters in Georgia on the BFRO website. Yo. Let's see here. Donald says, Mr. Lee don't have races. Myself, it's originally filmed the races. What now? Portal Tech. Patiently waiting for a local channel to put my races. Talking about races. Get in contact with who? English Headbutt. How did she know it was 7 foot 6 inches tall? She bring a tape measure. Yeah, it's funny how some people like got really accurate descriptions. Grew up South Dakota, lived in Alaska with Solo Palmer. Denali Park. Never got near. Measure your arms compared to your height. Arm span, fingertips should be equal or height or close to it. Donald says, no, I haven't, Mr. Lee, but shoe size, the package size is a myth. Oh, man. Little Diomede Island gnome. Killed a polar bear with a spear. Yeah. Other interesting but useless facts. Your foot will be close in length to your forearm from your inside of your elbow to your wrist. Grandfather was a badass. Yeah, I'm sure he was. Icon says the answer is butthole surfers. Give me money. Yeah, this is BFRO stuff. Donald says to Uncle Bones, Vault kills him with his toe. Yep. He kills him with his big toe. He's really badass. He'll tell you. Dramatic reading of BFRO and doing commentary, he is okay. Didn't know, I just got off the phone. Hurdy-gurdy man. Clan cannot compete. Heard of the whole surfers? They're more badass. Of course, man. Everybody's heard of the butthole surfers. Uncle Bum says, lady supports the carnivore diet. Not many plants up north, but some. Music is brilliant. Melodic mayhem. Great independent worm saloon. One of your favorites, Mr. Lee. Who are we talking about? Frank Zappa? Lady says, Uncle, that makes sense. That support the carnivore diet for you. My people are from Scotland, Holland, and Germany. Fish and plants are my blood. Maybe a chicken or two. Hairway to Steven is my favorite, Mr. Lee. You also picked a good one, says Icon. Let me see here. Trying to pull up Mr. Lee's cast. Oh my gosh, what the hell are we looking at now? What are we looking at here, Mr. Lee? Hold on, let me get it on the screen. Boom. There's Mr. Lee's cast next to his foot, on which he is wearing one of the most horrible inventions of all time, the croc. That's your girlfriend's foot next to the cast. That foot looks awful strange, Mr. Lee. I don't know what I think about that foot. Looks awful strange. I'd say this is a defective Bigfoot. Donald just finds it to be convincing. Well, if you think so, Donald, I don't know. That's an awful strange looking foot right there. I mean, it's just straight as an arrow on the left side, and the toes are too small for the foot. The the heel is too wide for the rest of the foot and squared off kind of funny like. I don't know what to think about this. Icon says, Donald, this is what we're talking about. He's got a link there. Mr. Lee says, Donald, you see? I don't know, Mr. Lee. I don't know. I don't think I buy it. This is a looking track right here. It's a weird looking track. Well, we are 3 hours plus in, so probably need to just wrap her up on on that note of Mr. Lee's very strange looking Bigfoot track cast. Icon says, you think that's silly, Achaeos? Look at the footprint cutout. What footprint cutout? Yeah, it's been that long. My, how time flies, says Lady. Donald says, I bet I know someone that would say that's a dog man print. Yeah. Yeah. Its foot got messed up because it got shot up by that same person. That's got to be it. It's got to be it. I'm telling you, Mr. Lee. We're going to have to do an epic takedown of the hoaxer known as Mr. Lee 3PO. 400 times. He shot it 400 times. That's why its foot's shaped like that. Lady says, I still say that dogmen are really escaped circus poodles running wild in the woods looking for clowns. Very possible. That's as good a story as any that I've heard. Raptor says, Donald, I was getting ready to type that in. Someone would say it was a dogman track. That would have been too funny. Icon says, hang on a minute, Achaeos. I need to grab a vid for Bones. Alrighty then. Gonna post a link in the chat for Uncle Bones. Mr. Lee says, Lockbird, you can do a takedown of me one day. Taking an epic on Mr. Lee. You know, it's funny, Mr. Lee, if you start putting out too much stuff, there are going to be a few people out there that are going to totally buy it all. They're going to believe it all. You know, just like those people that believed Peter Kane. And, even though if you take the time to look at his stuff, you can clearly see that Peter Kane is a comedian. Same thing for Coyote Peterson. People were taking it too seriously, but if they had spent 3 minutes looking at his YouTube channel, they would have found out that he's a comedian. He does this goofy stuff on his channel all the time. Not to be taken seriously. But people were getting all bent out of shape and everything. Lady says, put Mr. Lee on the spot. Let him present his evidence. Well, I would, but Mr. Lee is more elusive than any cryptid when it comes to getting his ass on camera. Donald says, Mr. Lee, you will be the hero to the believers of the BS. Yeah, you might get invited onto on the Dipshit show. Mr. Lee says, oh, that's what I'm saying. Lockbeard, that's what I'm saying. I have to be careful. Don't want to upset the peeps. Oh, well. I think everybody will figure it out, Mr. Lee. Uncle Bun says, Mr. Lee, Bigfoot penis next. Get Molly on board. Yeah, Mr. Lee. Now, but you can't just come out waving a Bigfoot penis around, Mr. Lee. I mean, you because if you got a Bigfoot, you see, it was one thing to have a track and a picture of one walking into the shrubbery. It's another thing to have the piece of a body of one. So now you got to have a story about how you slaughtered this thing or you found it dead or something. So I don't know. But since it's, it is what it is, I guess you could just walk out and start swinging a Bigfoot penis around and don't give an explanation at all. So I found a Bigfoot penis rolling down the highway. Icon says, Uncle Bones here, you can use this in case your ticker starts to give you issues. And Uncle Bones says he would look. Awesome. All right. Well, we should wrap her up. I'm tired and we've been on here way too long.
Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because subscribing makes you feel good.
The Romulans want to weigh in on your picture, Mr. Lee. Hold on a second.
It's a fake.
All right. Thank y'all for coming. See you next time.